How many utility knives do you have, and do you know where they are? So in this video, I go through some of my favorite utility knives, some I don't care for, but I have collected an amazing amount of utility knives over the years. I'm gonna capture a few in this video and show you where I use them. So when I was growing up, we used a utility knife called a box cutter. And they're pretty simple. Everybody and their uncle put advertising on there. There's one from Delta Air Cargo. This one I had in one of my dad's warehouses. Okay, but it was a box cutter and it took a straight blade. And we had these always on a line somewhere to replace. So it does, and you can see the preset depth for cutting down boxes, and this is how we would break down boxes all day long, okay? So if this got dull, we would take it out like this and flip it around and put it back in, and it's a very thin curve, but that's how you would renew the edge on there. But what a lot of people did not know was right here. Can we get this in here, Chris? See that right there? Your typical straight blade would go in there like this, making it a great what? Scraper. And you can scrape unwanted stickers just about off everything like this, and, you know, and so it was a great way. You had two tools in one, a box cutter and a scraper. Probably everybody watching this video is used to utilizing a utility blade like this, and you have different hardnesses. Okay, some are touted to be sharper than others. I've never really noticed a difference, but there's different ways of opening. You have a push here, you can change it. This one is a quick change. You can open it up. You got blade storage in here. This is one that lives right on my bench in a holster. They call this the Dolphin, okay? This one, the blade storage, this drops out and you can store blades right in here. So, you know, you're on a job site and when you're utilizing this, you can actually use that. That's for cutting rope, but you can actually utilize it and you can set the depth just like that, which is kind of nice. Okay. There's all different types. Now here's an old-fashioned one. This is a Miller Falls. And to change the blade on this, you have to undo it. Boy, have things changed with the quick release and all kinds of stuff. Now these are a dime a dozen. You can get them in packs, you know, for 2 or 3, for $5, $10. This one's very inexpensive. It's an advertising one for helping hand, but it's just quick and easy. Here's one here that's also, I believe this is a Stanley, an older one. Really, really easy to use. But this one I can't stand because there's a spring in there and it retracts. I just don't like that. It just doesn't work with my brain. So there's a couple things to look at with utility knives: ease of blade change and onboard blade storage. So on this one, to change the blade, and these utility blades have notches in them, they're standardized. So you depress this and push it back in, and you can control how far it protrudes. This one's kind of simple. You got to push down, see how it opens up, and I can adjust it like that. This one is a flip up. I take it like this. I always struggle with this one, but that's how you do it. You take it out, you maneuver it like this, see? And you take it out, put it back in, lock it in. Once again, I will always go to this down on my bench. I could take it out, reverse blades, put a new blade in. There's a magnet that holds it in. I really like that feature. Take it like this, and you know what? It feels really good in your hand. Hey, go in your house and shop, open up every single drawer, and I bet you have a utility knife in there. It's always at a close proximity is where you need them. Okay, so this one lives on our refrigerator. Somebody gave this to me, a nice gentleman down at Mark Adams, and he had this on his keychain, and that's exactly what that's for. But if I open it right here, and the name of this, and I'll have it in the description, you can get it on Amazon, it's called Screw Pop. okay? It's as simple as that. There's a little magnet, so when I slide it in, okay, it holds it back in place, but when I slide it, I can hit right here those 2 notches. And this is our box cutter when stuff comes in at Amazon in the house. But what most people don't know, if you look right there, you can open up your favorite cold beverage with this, and you have that right on your keychain. So another great feature on this screw pop utility blade, like I said, it lives on our refrigerator. There's an additional magnet right there, and you can put it anywhere. Okay, this is something I learned when I was a kid. Controlling the depth of your utility knife. So when I take this and I bring it out with this box cutter, that's too far for me. Okay, I use my thumb as my depth gauge, because how many times have you had a utility knife that was really extended like this, and you go to cut that Amazon box, and guess what? You're cutting into part of the material or the packaging or whatever. So what I like to do is take it like this and just break everything just like that. Use your thumb as a depth gauge. So there you go. Okay, so another tip about all utility knives. And yes, blades are inexpensive, but sometimes you're doing some cutting and you don't have time to go back to the bench to get a utility knife. I like to do this. I like to take my strop and just sometimes you just got to deburr it, and you can make that utility blade last a long time. So I just acquired this utility knife. And I read about it and watched Paul Sellers on his hand tool channel on YouTube use this. This is a Stanley. And right here is where you pull it back, and this is how you expose the blade, and it locks in. And this is what he uses to lay out dovetails. I'm anxious to do a video on marking knives, but this is a great utility blade, and you'll see it's a really, really big pointed spear point. But what I liked, what Paul mentioned, is he uses this all the time, and he said the blades are inexpensive, but he always strops his marking knife like this. So I'm anxious to try this. Another category of utility knives I want to cover are these. They got a narrower blade or a different spear point. Okay, so this one here is also a breakaway. I'll show you that with my 18 millimeters, but it's retractable. This one is from Olfa, and you'll see it has more of a spear point, but it's also a breakaway. I'll cover breakaway in a minute. Here's an old Stanley. I used to use this for veneer and cutting in. And then this one you can get, and there's different varieties of these, but this is like an X-Acto knife. You gotta be very, very careful because these are scalpels, and I use these for cutting veneer. Here's another specialty. I consider it a utility knife. I use it to cut fabric and sometimes paper material. It's a rotary utility cutter. Come in here, Chris. It's by Fiskars, and you'll see when I push it down, it exposes it, and you can effortlessly cut fabric into rags, and to recess it, you bring it up like that. So we're getting close to the end. And over the years, I have acquired so many daggone utility knives. They're everywhere in the house and in the shop. But there's one in recent years I got hooked on. And they're the 18 millimeter blades that are breakaways. And I'll cover this in a second. There are different varieties. Here's one that uses the same blade as the 3 of these. Okay, this is disposable. This lives in the shed to cut what? Mulch bags. Now, the one that lives in my pouch is this one. And it took me a few times to find the one that was right for me. So when you look at an 18 millimeter blade, and come in here, Chris, so we can see this, you're gonna see there's breakaway points on there. So when I look at the point here, okay, hopefully you can see this with a black blade. When that point dulls, I just take it like this, and now I got a fresh edge. That's what I mean by a breakaway. But don't take it out all the way and break it, because you want to go point to point to point. Another reason I fell in love with these utility blades, and this is, like I said, this is the one that lives in my pouch at all times. When I take it to the strop, I can strop that entire blade like this, and you're gonna notice I could take it down very cautiously, and I can use that just like that to scrape. And it's perfect for scraping unwanted stickers. You may look at these and say, hey, they're identical. It's the way you bring it up. Okay, here, okay, automatically locks. This one is very easy, it's very fine-tuned, and now it's locked. But I have just found this automatic lock is easier for me. And the other thing is right here. This is dull, but boy, when I'm opening up a can of finish, it's right there at all times in my pouch. 2 tools in one. Hey, you know how some companies are always trying to innovate an 18mm blade? Well, check this out. This was a recent gift, and I really like this one. It's by Knipex, however you want to pronounce it. So here's my Olfa, okay, and I'm going to lock it in, right? But let's look at this. And when I'm putting torque on this, sometimes this snaps. So when I take this Knipex and I bring it all the way out, there's a second piece here, and you can see it coming out. It's actually like a back saw. It's a stabilizer bar, and you can get severe torque on there and won't break the blade. What a great innovation. So there you have it. In the comments, tell me what your favorite utility knife is, because maybe I just might buy some more. So as we always say, be positive, stay sharp, and I mean wicked sharp.